Welcome back. Once again, adventurers, to Let's Play Robotics Note to Lead. In the last episode, with Doc Fujita still recovering at the hospital, Kaito now has free reign to venture into the robot clinic to try and locate Gojiro-kun. And with Akiho's help and support, he managed to do that. Although, as usual, Kaito is dealing with a handicap because the robots aren't just broken. Yeah, despite what happened to Junna 11 years ago, despite the incident and the injuries that she sustained as a 7-year-old child, that alone was not enough to cause all the robots to be out of commission. As it turns out, Fujita himself, after what happened to Junna, sabotaged his own robots, his own pride and joy, by cutting the operation wires himself with his own hands. Which makes activating Gojiro-kun a problem that is compounded by the fact that Akiho wants to repair all the robots, although after that discovery that is now not possible. And what makes this even more worse is the fact that Gojiro-kun is one of the larger robots that requires pretty much the most maintenance of all. But unfortunately there's no cheesing our way out of this one. We need to activate Gojiro-kun in order to get the final flag for report number 4. It's never that easy, is it? And we have some Twippo notifications, as usual. Robot doctor killing robots. Doctors should be fixing them. It's just too sad. And of course, response from Sister Centipede asking yet another question. What is your favorite robot? I have multiple. There we go. Nothing new on the Twippo front besides that. Indeed. Yeah. Akiho is not a miracle worker by any stretch of the imagination. Akiho appears inside Gojiro-kun's back. There's a bunch of cords haphazardly jammed in there. I don't think soldering them back together again is going to be a safe option. We're going to have to replace them entirely. That's the only thing that Fujita did to them. There's a little bit more to it than that. Because the reason that Yashiro-kun's eye is broken is because he was the robot that fell on top of Junna. I don't think we should, speaking of Junna, have her around here, because of all the robots that she is most terrified by, the one that she actually ended up being face to face with was the aforementioned Gojiro-kun.
ただコードはかなりの本数なんだ。全部ハンダ付けされてるから、それを新しいものに取り替えるだけでも結構骨が折れそう。
You sure you want to go through with this, Akiho? I mean, not like we have a choice,
頑張っ
but...
てね、アキちゃん。
And Kaito just leaving her to it as usual.
カイも手伝うの。あとジュンもね。
Speaking of Junna, she somehow managed to vanish before either of us could notice. Yeah, not surprising that she doesn't ever want to set foot in the robot clinic ever again. We had her looking for any documents that would help us identify the robot's names, but her and her scooter are nowhere to be found. PTSD. It must have been really painful to come here, which is an understatement. Or could it be that seeing the robots is far worse? Either way, was it alright for her to have left the shop keys with us? To answer that question, Kaito, I think Junna would rather you have the shop than not.
そうだ。どうせなら遠隔操縦できるようにしよ
う。That too might be a huge undertaking.
おいおい、改良する気？さすがにそこまでやっちゃうとさ、ドクも許してくれないんじゃないの
？Under normal circumstances, Kaito, he definitely wouldn't. But, given what's happened...
オプションメニューだよ。
That being said, they are very antiquated robots.
普段は自立行動できる。でもスイッチを切り替えれば遠隔操縦もできる。
Just what we need, autonomous robots.
簡単にできるわけ？
多分。
You don't sound so sure about that, now that you've thought about it.
キルバラシステムとか導入するよりはよっぽど楽だよ。
I'm not buying that guarantee.
全身交代、ターン、あと手を動かすのと目や耳の点灯で喋る。それくらいならラジコンのプロポでできるし。
Need I remind you that Kaito is completely useless with an analog remote control system, Akiho.
プログラムも単純だからフラウボーの手を借りる必要もないはず。
But Akiho seems eager to do this.
アキちゃんは珍しく頼もしく見えるよ。
いやこれでもロボ部の部長なんだよ、うちは。種子島新さんを改良したのだってうちだし。
That was more Frau than you.
それくらいの基本的なことはこの2年で先輩たちに教えてもらったんだから。これくらいの単純な機構ならうちだってやれるはず。
Oh boy.
ま、それは任せるよ。ちなみにさ、ゴジロウくんも直せたりしないかな？
Towing a very fine line here, Kaito. Very fine line indeed.
ゴジロウくんを直すより自走式の例えば秀三郎くんとかを直した方がいいよ。
Kaito, word of advice. Get someone else to fix Gojiro-kun. It's probably easier that way. Because Gojiro-kun is the robot that needs to be fixed.
はい。なんでそんなにゴジロウくんにこだわるの？
I think you're reaching the point of no return. You're probably going to have to tell her about the Kimijima Reports sooner or later.
いや、それはほら、あれだよ。ゴジロウくんがこの中じゃ一番かっこいいかと思ってね。
I don't think even Akiho is convinced of that performance, Kaito. Man, I'm gonna have to get the thing up and running all by myself, aren't I? No cheesing your way out of this one, Kaito. Not this time.
というわけで順にはこの基板のハンダ付けを全部外して新しいものに付け替える作業をしてもらいます。
Well, it's the next day, and I'm surprised that Junna has decided to return to the robot clinic. But maybe this might be a good thing. Then again, maybe not. But anyway, we've got some Twippo notifications to go through. Don't disgrace gun barrel. 30 minutes, 7 wins, 0 losses. Recently I've been itching for those blueprints, and surprisingly I'm getting motivated to fix them up. The same thing happened with Gunbuild 1. Throwing robots away is not acceptable. You're the one who told me that, Doc. Why didn't you tell them that in person, Akiho? Then maybe, You good? What happened? You don't want to know what's happening with Frau. And Junna's still questioning herself. What am I doing here? You're worried about Doc. That should be enough. Don't overthink it. He is still your grandfather after all. No news there. News there. Akiho's holding Gojiro-kun's circuit board in her hands. I wonder if she's noticed which robot Akiho is having her work on. There are numerous wires tightly packed and soldered onto it.
それ全部？もちろん。
I hate to break it to you, Akiho, but Junna is not a mechanic. The next day, Akiho had acted quickly. She went out of her way on a weekend to go to Kamada Motors in Nakatane to buy some wires and illuminate lights, is what that said. Oh, sorry, miniature wires. She then came straight to the clinic to remove all of Gojiro-kun's wiring. And now it's nearly sunset. We've been working long hours. Junna and I finally have something to do.
うちは新しく遠隔操縦のための回路を組み込むから。純の作業は重要だよ。吉郎くんの神経をつなぎ直すんだからね。で、回は電球の付け替え。それが終わったら純のサポートね。
Akiho finally taking charge. Junna hands me an electric desoldering pump. It looks like a power drill, but the tip has... Oh, sorry about that. My finger's going a little too fast. It looks like a power drill, but the tip has an electric heating component and it uses a motor for suction. And if you thought, well, I guess you can use this to melt the hardened solder and suck it up. I was going to say it's probably harder to remove solder as it is to actually put it on, but maybe not. Junna's not afraid of the circuit board, just the robot it came from. Yeah. She apparently handles chores around the house, so she's good with her hands. She has no issue picking up the process quickly and reproducing it without a word.
今日一日で仕上げなくてもいいからね。
Despite Akiho's words, Junna quietly and indifferently continues her work. So far, so good. The next day, the three of us have been fully immersed in our tasks ever since the sun came up. We've been taking full advantage of the holiday. Having said that, I already finished replacing all the lights yesterday. That's one task down. So what have I been doing now that I'm done, you've asked? Do we even have to, Kaito? Okay, you're not binging on Kill Ballad today, as you have something more important to do. I've been secretly trying to fix Gojiro-kun's power circuitry by watching and imitating Akiho. But it's much more difficult to work in the dark storeroom. Junna finished before nightfall, so Akiho took the circuit board and installed it onto Gojiro-kun. It was going to be the second time the thing had opened its eyes, but despite taking notes beforehand, Akiho ended up miswiring the entire thing and everything went to hell after that. What happened, Akiho? What did you do? She lost track of what was connected to where, and we ended the day with Akiho on the brink of tears. I think Doc is going to be mad with you there, Akiho. But now we're on Route 58 with Junna on her trusty scooter. I ride my scooter south down the highway, and what a highway it is, not gonna lie. This highway at sunset, very impressive. Driving on such a wide road like this scares me a little, and why are you doing it anyway? Numerous cars zoom past me at really high speeds. And I can't help but flinch when everyone does, praying they don't hit me. Well, everyone can relate to that. Akiho has me running an errand for her. Operation Repair Grandpa Fujida's robots hasn't been going all that well, but we're still making progress, more or less, despite the incident that happened with Gojiro-kun. It's a good thing Fujita wasn't around to see that happen, because he would be beyond furious by this point. Since yesterday, Akiho-chan's been testing the wiring to see if it's all connected properly. At least she didn't set the thing on fire. That's a good thing. We don't need things being set on fire. I guess she's checking each wire one by one to make sure they're working using something called an electrical tester, as well as making sure that they're actually connected to the points they're supposed to be to actually have a circuit to begin with. I already finished my job, and since I didn't have anything to do, Akiho-chan set me on a new mission for the day. I'm heading to buy a speaker. Since I'm terrified of robots and can't bring myself to go anywhere near them, I'm grateful she gave me a task I can actually handle. Even now my knees start shaking when I look at those robots. I'm ashamed of myself, but no matter what I do, I just can't get over the memories of the accident. I park my scooter in front of the robot clinic and take off my helmet.
Ah! Jun!
Akiho-chan is waving at me from the storefront.
買ってきてくれた？うん、その西の表のホームセンターまで行って。ごめんね、遠出させちゃって。
I hand Akiho-chan the speaker in question. Also, I've just noticed that there is a giant gear sticking out from the back of the robot clinic there. What is that gear made of, I wonder? I say speaker, but it's not the type you use to listen to music. It's a unit, apparently.
吉郎くんのスピーカーユニットね、取り外されちゃってて声が出なかったの。
I hate to say this, Akiho, but if you think Junna's trauma is compounded just by looking at Gojiro-kun, just imagine how terrified she'll be when she actually hears him talk again for the second time in her life.
これを代わりに装着すれば喋るようになるよ。そうなんだ。
I don't really want to hear about that very much. My memories of the incident re-emerge and I quickly shut my eyes.
ジュン？吉尾くんは？
Yeah, you should really be paying a little bit more attention there, Akiho.
裏の倉庫。ゴジロウくんを直してるみたい。なんでそんなにゴジロウくんにこだわるんだろうね。
A good Kaito.
ところでジュン、部長としてもう一つ頼みたいことがあるんだけどな。
You're gonna run out of second chances at this rate, Kaito. But I digress.
何かな？お使いなら言ってくるけど。
At least Junna can actually finally feel that she's actually doing something, as long as it doesn't directly involve
お
robots.
使いじゃなくて、吉郎くんを修理した後のこと。うちらが吉郎くんを修理してるのはドクに元気になってもらうため、そうでしょ？
If we actually succeed.
そのためには修理した吉郎くんをドクに見てもらわなくちゃ。遠隔操縦を導入したのもそのためで、そのオペレーターなんだけど。
Akiho-chan looks straight into my eyes. She's always like this, and she is. She looks straight into my soul. Those eyes of hers sparkle so brightly like dazzling stars, and because of that, in an attempt to escape her radiance, I look away.
逃げないで、ジュン。
With a squeeze, Akiho grips my hands tightly. She always does this too. And just like that, my escape route has been blocked off. That's not fair. No, it isn't. But that's how Akiho is. When she corners me like this, she knows I'm too weak to say no to her. Even though I always tell myself you need to tell her no, like Kaito does. I can't help but worrying about what others might think of me when I speak. What if I refused and she hated me again after that? What if she never wanted to talk to me again? All of these fears and terrors.
オペレーターはジュンにやってほしい。
But I think there's more to Akiho's request than just her usual selfishness, Junna. I think if Fujita saw that, yeah. If it was Junna operating Yashiro-kun, I think Doc might finally come around. But of course, it goes without saying that we actually need Junna to take that step, and it is a pretty big step.
ロボが怖いのはわかるけど、この役目はきっとジュンしかできないし、ロボットのこと好きになってもらいたいの。無理だよ。
I shut my eyes tight and forced Akiho-chan's hands up mine. This was always going to be a tall order, Akiho. I can't believe I just did that. She hates me now. she's going to kick me out the room. These thoughts keep me from saying another word. Akiho-chan, on the other hand, looks surprised for a moment before she tearfully clings to me.
お願い無理なのこればっかりは私できないよ
It's not you that she's rejecting, Akiho.
ごめん私店の中にいるね
I nearly ripped myself out of Akiho-chan's grasp and rushed inside the shop. Deep breaths. My heart is pounding. I said no. I usually get swept up in whatever she says, but not this time. I feel like I've grown, at least a little bit. But that's just a lie. I'm still running away. I haven't changed at all. The shop is completely silent. My ears begin to ring. I feel like I'll hear Grandpa Fujita screaming at me at any moment. The last moments of that time. I cover my ears to stop the deafening silence. It's going to take a lot of work, Akiho.
はあ、めんどくさい。
Speaking of work, Kaito is still in the storeroom, trying to work on Gojiro-kun. So when we return, adventurers, we shall see how much progress Kaito will make in his efforts to repair Gojiro-kun, if any. As always, until next we meet.